You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Impact Dynamics. And now, over to your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. My name is Rusty, and joining me in this very special episode at Butters, because we're still in the US. How are you, Butters?
I'm good, mate.
Excellent. And sitting across from me, our very extra special guest, much more special than Butters, is John Kyle from Foundation Stocks. How are you, John Kyle?
Doing well. Thanks for coming all the way over here.
Yeah, we're sitting in country Oklahoma.
Wetumpka, Oklahoma.
Wetumpka.
Most of your listeners will know exactly where this is.
I bet, because I definitely knew where it was. Yeah. You said Wetumpka. Oh, yeah, down there where the Dairy Queen is.
That's right.
I know the one.
See, you're learning quickly, so that's good.
Absolutely. So, where in Oklahoma are we? We're east of Oklahoma City.
East and pretty right along I-40, which cuts through the middle of the state. So we're just south of I-40.
Okay.
So, but we are on the east side.
And
right.
And there's not a lot around.
There isn't. No, if you strain your eyes, I think you can see another building over there somewhere on the corner. But that's kind of how we like it. So
it's a beautiful little part of the world, actually.
Feels like back home.
For you,
Yeah, definitely.
back in Wodonga or where are you?
Gerodgery.
Sorry,
West.
I've never heard of that place. I know where he lives, but I've never heard of where Butters is from. And now I've got a dog sitting on my lap.
That's Hero. That's our little taste of Australia in the shop there.
Yeah.
I think it's, aren't they
It's a red
dingo and something else mixed to make the breed? They came from Australia. I got him just especially for when you guys were coming. Actually, he's not my dog. I don't know where he came from.
You went and stole him.
Yeah, he's got to go back in about 3 hours.
He is. He's on rental. Dingo rental is what they.
Rentals.
You guys may not have it over there. But
Yeah, dingo rentals back home is a different thing. You get like something that can dig trenches with a dingo
Take
rental.
babies instead.
But we shall move on from that because that could go south very quickly. So Foundation Stocks. This is we're in your beautiful workshop, and the machines are pumping away next door, and you've taken a few moments out of your time to from stopping making stocks. So whoever had someone order, I'm sorry, they're going to be about an hour or so later.
we'll be a day or two behind.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You can blame Rusty.
Yeah, that's all my fault. But hey, there's stocks worth waiting for. Now, I don't know how many of our listeners will be familiar with Foundation Stocks, but we met a couple of years ago at the PRS finale, and you were just starting out then, weren't
Sure.
you? Did you have some guys running it in that match? Or
We did not.
No,
So the
you just
stock
had some there.
Correct, right. So the one that was actually on the table, that was the first one out in productions that
Wow.
got picked up. So besides the ones that we had in-house, that was the first one in the general public.
Wow. Okay, so in 2 years, a lot of things have happened.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're moving stocks, a little bit all around the world and about to be more around the world. We're about to see them arrive in Australia in sometime this year.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So
And-
we're excited about that. We're sending them, outside the States for the first time in 2019. And
Yeah.
so, with the exception of one or two that made their way.
Slip through the cracks.
Slip through the cracks, but yes, so at
Yes.
least officially.
Absolutely. So Ash has been running one this year or last year in the PRS and did very well with it.
Yes, he did. Yeah, we were really fortunate. We didn't realize he was running it until the pictures from finale came out, and and there you go. So
And-
that
and
was
away you went.
That was
Yeah.
pleasing for us. So.
And so how? So talking about the local market then for you here, how has it been? Stocks have been doing well. You've been moving quite a through, and quite a few shooters are running them.
We've been very blessed with the guys that have chosen to run them, and the gunsmith that chooses to build with them, and so we've just been very fortunate in that they've really performed well. They've given some characteristics that are unique to our stocks that shooters have picked up on and really enjoyed, and so we've been very fortunate both with the performance of our stocks and of course performance of a lot of the shooters that choose to run them. We're very blessed.
Absolutely. So give us the rundown, because these are, I bet that almost everybody who would look at one would think, if they just saw it on the line, would think it's a timber stock.
Sure.
That's
That's
what,
timber.
That's
timber
exactly
stock.
what I
That's
thought
what
when I
you
saw
thought?
Ashes at
That's
back
what I
in
thought.
Darwin.
When I saw them over here, I thought they were timber stock. So give us a rundown, because they're not timber.
Sure, they're not timber.
Yeah.
So here people would say they think they're wood stocks, but timber is a lingo. I can get used.
You can get used to that.
I can. So no, they are not timber stocks. They're composites. So it's a composite that's known as micarta. Now that's a brand name, a trade name. So we don't use a word micarta with them, but it is familiar to everybody as micarta. So the same thing you would see on pistol grips or knife handles a lot of times is what we're using here, just in a much larger form.
Okay. And what's the base of that? It's a resin and a
Correct.
canvas,
Correct. So compositionally, it's similar to other composite stocks in the sense that there is a resin and a medium. Where it differs is that we start with a solid block of material. In fact, each stock starts at 28 pounds and then gets machined down to, depending on the stock model, gets machined down to about 4 to 5 pounds. And what that allows us to do, it allows us to have a very dense, homogeneous stock that has some characteristics when you're shooting it. Just a solid feel. Dampens extremely well because there are no gaps in it. There's no air pockets in the stock because it's technically a thermoset. It's completely it's very dense.
Yeah, absolutely. You can notice that picking it up. And so as you said, as opposed to normal stock that gets molded or injected or however various methods, these are actually machined down and CNC machined down to whatever it is that the shape that you desire.
Sure. Yeah. So it's actually, and as far as the manufacturing process goes, it's more similar to what you see with chassis manufacturing. So really it offers a bit of a hybrid between a traditional stock and a chassis. And you see that in one of the characteristics of not having to bed the stock. So the material has a compression strength that is very similar to aluminum. So we do not have a need for aluminum pillars in our stocks. So they're, I would say vast majority on the market are simply bolted together and ran.
Yeah, right.
Exactly how they are.
And so not bedded, not just straight in.
Correct.
And no need for it.
Correct.
By the sounds of things. Okay. And how did you discover this, making stocks out of this? That seems an unusual way of doing things, but I guess that's what makes a good product sometimes.
Well, the stock idea came before the material idea. So previously, in previous life, I was involved in manufacturing in the distribution. I was a sales engineer selling equipment, automation solution to manufacturers, some of the manufacturers that are in the industry as well. And so that was my connection with several of the guys in the industry. And so over the years, actually, I was looking at an opportunity to get into the market, a market that interests me.
Yep, to get involved.
To get involved, went through several different ideas of products. Kind of settled on stocks. Saw that as a path forward, and then the material itself was it was a bit of a, you can say a happen chance. I had a customer of mine that was using it for a different process. The material's been around for quite a while. It's used in quite a few industrial applications. To my knowledge, it's never been used in this application.
Sure.
And it was sitting on a customer's water jet, and I picked it up, looked at it, and said, I think this might make a good stock.
Got a winner.
That's where the process started, the design and looking into material and testing at that point. And thankfully, it's made a great stock.
And so you made one up, and then I guess went out and shot it and
correct.
gave it to some guys.
Yep. In fact, the first one is in the rack right there, so you could take a look after we're done to see the It's a bit different than the ones you see before you, but it is the very first one.
One without the logo on the bottom.
It would be, yes.
Fifth one in.
Yep, it would be.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it looks different, but okay.
It is.
Play with that. Yeah, okay. And so you met a number of the guys that you work with now through that sort of previous work.
Correct. Right. I was in their shops working with them on projects as far as in regards to their product lines, and that's where some of those relationships got established, and it's been very helpful going forward. So.
Excellent. We have a couple of stocks here, so Butters, I'm going to pass you one over. What model is this one that we're passing over here?
So that is our Genesis, and that would be our Genesis Lite. So our MG1L. So that would be our second iteration of the stock that came behind the first one. So differences being simply from the original Genesis, this one is a bit lighter. It has some internal geometries that are machined out that allow us to shave some weight, but externally the profile exactly the same.
Is that like the honeycombing in there, or there's probably a better term for it, but that's
sure. Yep, nope. The honeycomb. Yep, that's what we call it. So the honeycomb, it was part of the project when we were designing the lighter stocks. But what we found is versus a ribbing that we had done on the first batch.
Mhm.
It provided it was less material, but it provided more strength, both torsionally
shape.
and just in the structure. So we carried that across the whole line. So you will see very, very few without that honeycomb. Just really the first handful have a ribbing, and then the rest have a honeycomb.
It'd make it balance really well too, because most of the weight with just the stock is in the rear.
Yep.
Put a barreled action in that's going to balance quite well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And that's and in this stock, in the standard stock, you'll see a little more weight in the rear, and so you can, balance is a big deal, but balance is affected by so many things, from your barrel to your suppressor to your brake, and so that's something that you can't just nail off the bat. The components that go into the build dictate that as well, but we try to make it as flexible on our end as possible.
And so notice that everyone I've seen so far is adjustable in the cheek piece. Is that
correct?
standard
Across
design?
the line. So one thing you'll notice on our stocks is there's really not a whole lot of options. So when you're looking at our stocks online, you're going to see that every one of them comes with 5 flush cups in them. Every one of them comes with an embedded modified Anschutz rail, what we call our SS rail. Every one of them comes with an adjustable cheek piece comb using some awesome hardware from KMW. Terry Cross builds that for us.
Okay.
And so, you'll see that there's really not a whole lot. One thing that we didn't want to do is we didn't want to start with a certain dollar amount stock, and then by the time someone actually got it how they want it, that'd be double the price.
Yeah.
So you see very few fluctuations in the price of our stocks. Are pretty much set up how we think is best, and that's how they're sold.
Because you said there's a couple of little options you can do,
Sure.
isn't there? So because this one's got a butt hook on the rear of it, but that can be a flat.
On the Genesis, all those will have a butt hook. The
Okay.
Exodus model, which
That's
we'll
what
look at here,
we've got
yes,
in a
it has
second.
that option
Okay.
to have a butt hook or no butt hook, a more traditional sloping rear if desired.
Okay, and I see a number on the rack have the arc rails.
Correct,
And
correct.
is that put into your, what do you call it, SS?
SS rail, correct.
SS
Yeah.
rail?
So it's a modified Anschutz rail, is what it is. It's a design that we built that allows us to place any of our attachments in that rail itself anywhere along
Okay.
that 11 and a quarter inch rail.
Yep.
So what you'll see is every single stock has this rail in it, and the point of that is it allows a really nice a platform for accessories directly mounted to the stock, but it also allows you to mount if you're used to running a Arc Swiss type rail, if you're used to running pretty much any system that has a flat bottom, you can directly bolt that to the bottom of the stock. So it just allows, in our mind, the most flexibility, and also as on the manufacturing side, standardizes what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. How does that feel, Butters? You're normally a chassis kind of guy.
Well, I used one yesterday with Wade, and
that's right.
it felt nice. Like, I've never been opposed to stocks. I've just always liked the AI stuff. But no, it feels really nice.
Yeah, Wade actually dropped me a line this morning saying that you're going to swap out, so I need to get you one ready. So he said Butters was ready to make the switch.
Well,
so
that's what's been happening
I
over
think
here.
you should take that one home with
Because
you.
he did really well with a comp in Arizona, and that was using a custom built gun, and then he's
Let's not get into how it would have gone with an AI.
no, you're right, we won't, because that'll be depressing for you. How bad you would have done.
They're very nice stock. Like I've always liked the look of them and the feel of them. I just went down that chassis path, but yeah, these are really nice stocks.
Thank you.
So that grip on there is quite vertical, isn't it?
So what you have in your hands there is the Exodus model. So one thing that we changed going forward with the Exodus model is it's the same grip profile as a Genesis, but it is closer to the trigger. So it's not necessarily more vertical,
Oh, I see. Yep.
but it is 300 thousandths closer to the trigger. So grip's one of those things that's hard to nail because everybody's got a different hand. Everyone has a different hand size. So what we try to do is, as going forward, as we went forward with Exodus stock, solicited the, feedback from shooters on what they thought that needed, and it was a spacing that our bigger stature guys or bigger hands guys didn't think would affect them moving it forward, but it really helped the smaller stature guys as far as getting their finger where they like it on the trigger.
the fore end of this is thinner.
It
narrower?
is, right. So what you'll notice, and that would be the biggest difference when you pick up between a Genesis and the Exodus, is the forearm width. So when you're looking at the Genesis, you have a 2.6-inch forearm,
Yep.
and that's intentional. So that's to cover any scope bail. If you're to jam it up in a corner, you're going to contact with the flat surface of the stock first. With the Exodus, it's a 2-inch forearm. For those guys, it's really just a shooting preference. If you ride a bag all the time, you never brace in a corner, then you really don't need a thick forearm or may not want the thick forearm. That's where the Exodus, the thinner forearm in the Exodus comes into play.
Okay. And obviously then, that sort of action sits a bit further back in this one, or at least the trigger guard.
Correct.
Yes,
The grip sits a little closer, yes, sir.
And so this one has the option, this has got the butt hook on it, but has the option of going to a flat.
Correct. Yep. Traditional sloping
Yep.
butt stock, yes, sir.
Yeah, fantastic.
Do any of your stocks have the option of an adjustable buttstock, as in the
Length of pull.
length of pull?
Sure, they all do. So what you have there is a ship, unless otherwise stated, they ship standard at a 13.5-inch length of pull.
Yep.
We machine the spacers out of the same material the stock's machined out of. And
See.
so if you needed a longer length of pull, any of the stocks can just call us, tell us what you need. We can either make you a custom spacer set to get you to what you need, or you can just order a 1/2 inch or 1 inch or whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you need there. Yes, sir.
There you go.
And imagine you do your barrel profiles as per order, or do
We
you
actually
do a set?
don't.
No,
So
you
every barrel profile is the same. It's as far as many of our customers swap barrels pretty frequently.
Yeah.
And so it was something early on that we were doing. We were looking at barrel contours and having that as options. But what we realized is we're really limiting a lot
Yep.
of the shooters in the sense of if they want to, they might think they want to run a lighter contour and then they change their mind. Well, now they either have to modify their stock or they have to sell it and get another one. So every one of our stocks is built. It's really an oversized MTU. It has a long shank allowance, so you could run a heavy varmint in it. So really anything with the exception of a straight no contour barrel will run in them.
I guess one of the difference between this stock and many others I've seen is if you use a thinner barrel in this, it still looks pretty. It's still not an ugly like inside of the stock.
Yeah, we really haven't found a barrel. Now we don't see a whole lot of pencil barrels, if you will,
No, you
in
wouldn't
them.
see the light ones,
But
no.
I have not seen one that doesn't look acceptable in it.
Absolutely. And so, what about shooting for you? Imagine the way this thing has gone off. You probably have not done a lot recently.
Behind the shop here is we have about a 400-yard range,
Okay.
and that's about it for right now. It's when we can tear off and the machine's running
Perfect.
long enough. But
Yeah.
that is something that, specifically for 2019 that we are trying to do a bit more just in the shop ourselves. We've got some young kiddos too, but I'd like to get the wife in on it. But bring in some people on to where it can free us up.
Yeah.
Where if we leave, the shop doesn't shut down.
That's
So that would be,
That'd be handy.
that's one of the goals for 2019 is to do that. I don't see it being a super competitive
No.
year, but hopefully we
Just-
can work towards that to where we can have some more time
Yeah.
out there shooting and not just making stocks.
Enjoyable.
So,
But prior to doing this, you imagine here you grew up shooting, or you originally
Sure.
from Oklahoma?
Yep, originally from Oklahoma. We moved around a bit, but originally from Oklahoma. Spent most my life here. I was so coming out of high school and college. Was in the Army for a few years. Did that. Was ended with Army Reserve in 2016 and finished up there. And then that's about the time I started doing this. This full time, and so we did quite a bit there. But that's kind of the background, both hunting and then military wise. There was some trigger time on
bet.
both sides. So.
Yeah, and still obviously thoroughly enjoy it, and keen to get out. So have you got any matches particularly planned this year that you really want to shoot, or is it just really going to be a suck it and see? And
It's going to be, in fact, like we were talking about earlier. I've got a 6 Creed barrel in order so that I can just buy some factory ammo, keep it on the shelf, so that if a weekend comes open and I can make a match, I can just grab it and not have to worry about having rounds loaded for it. So it's going to be a bit of a spur of the moment.
how far are you from Fouled Boar here? You'd be about 2.5 hours.
We're probably about three and a half.
hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Have you got another range close by or is that probably the closest running matches?
as far as running matches, so what you have, at least in Oklahoma, you have a pretty different geography. So on the east side where we are here, there's lots of trees. We don't have a whole lot of areas where you can shoot. You shoot extremely far. How our roads are laid out as well. You got roads at every mile mark, so you really have to be able to lay out county roads.
Okay.
But we have a small 800-yard range, just a private one here locally. I have a friend that fortunately we can go out there and shoot. But as far as matches, you really have to go to the west side of the state.
Okay.
To get the open country.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not far away from there.
Sure, a lot closer than you are to Butters. So,
yeah. This is very true. But we went out there yesterday, had a bit of a shoot, and that was really good fun. And
great range.
Yeah, really, really good range.
Windy as buggery. You know, when you look out the back and you see the big wind turbines, that you go, might be a bit windy here.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Well, when Wade overcorrects for wind and goes, I wouldn't have got that right either. You go, yeah, okay. There's probably a fair bit of wind out here.
Yeah, wind is something that's not a rarity in Oklahoma.
No,
so Oklahoma has a pretty good reputation of putting on good matches, hard matches, and so it's fun. It's a fun place to shoot.
Yeah,
it's a tough place to shoot, but it's a fun place to shoot.
There's some good shooters here, especially in wind, isn't there?
There is. We're really fortunate. We have a great core group of shooters here in Oklahoma that are not just solid state-wise, but solid nationally. And so we've got some great resources. We got some great guys that homegrown, if you will, locally here that do really well on the national level. And so Oklahoma has a pretty. I'd say our group of shooters can challenge any other state.
You can say they're the best if you like.
Okay, fair enough. Well, since we do sell to other states, I'll say they're pretty good.
And so you had a big representation in the PRS this year, or compared to previous years, obviously.
Sure, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
And how do who are some of the guys running your stocks and they're doing well?
Mm-hmm. They are. So we had quite a few. We were actually, as far as representation, the PRS and NRL. If you're looking at Calzance, what the pros use, which is a meter that people use. We were the third most used stock in the PRS or NRL, and so we've been very fortunate with guys like Matthew Brousseau, who's been the PRS champion the last 2 years. He's ran our stock both the years. Very fortunate to have him running it. Austin Orgain has been very solid. Clay Blackheader. I better stop naming names because if I do, then I'm going to leave someone off. I'm going to get a nasty call here.
And Ashley Porner.
And Ashley Porner, that's right. But all those guys have been great, and there's been numerous others of them. Tate Streeter with Impact Action. We're fortunate that he chooses to run our product, and he's solid.
Yeah, because you guys certainly seem to have a really good relationship with Impact, and most of the foundation stocks I've seen have impacts in them.
Sure, I would say that they're definitely the one we inlet the most for. Part of our relationship is geographic, so Impact Precision is about 2 hours from us here.
Yep.
And we've known those guys for a while, and so the great group of guys, great product. Wade and Tate and Robin, they know their stuff. They're good guys to have as resources. So we do have a great working relationship with them, and they make a great product. And it's just kind of been a natural deal as their product has gained popularity. Ours has, and it's been really fortunate to be able to have some sharing in that.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So what other actions do you inlet for? Is it pretty much everything?
One thing that's a bit unique about our stocks is we do inlet specifically for each action. So if we don't have an action inlet for your specific action, then we either have to add it or I have to modify it for it, which we don't do a whole lot. So, but yes, we inlet for Defiance actions, we inlet for Bighorn actions, inlet for Surgeon actions, Lone Peak actions. We inlet for quite a few different ones. But
you're really talking the top tier of rifles in which to match the stocks you make.
Correct. Right, and that's just been a demand basis. So it's kind of been logical that the actions that are the most demand have been the ones that we inlet for. And it comes down to also just a business decision as we're adding action inlets and the time to invest in that. If we only have one or two, it's tough to justify adding a specific inlet for that action. But so yes, sir.
Where do these sit price wise?
Yeah, so that one you've got your hand on there, the Exodus model, that would be $12.55, and it's our Exodus. Looks like it's a ME1LB, so it's our Exodus with a butt hook in the light version, and so it's also in our dark distress. So really, you're looking at two prices. You're looking at $11.80 is a base price for a stock, which is a natural finish.
Yep.
And then you're looking at $12.55, and that's for any of the other finishes.
And sort of that covers everything.
That covers pretty much everything. Now, if you, as far as attachments and accessories
course,
and things like that changes a bit. But our pricing structure is super simple.
Yep.
It's really the only difference is the finish, and that's a $75 difference. And outside of that, it's the same across the board, across the models, and that just keeps it simple.
Yeah, I'm amazed by the finishes I'm seeing on this rack.
Yeah, they look great.
Given that we're talking effectively like a base. I don't know if I can call it a canvas sort of base. Canvas.
Sure, yeah, we call it natural finish. It's if we were talking timber, if you will.
But that's the thing is you from effectively canvas. I know it's more complicated than that, but I'll keep it in my terms simple. There is such variety in how these finish up. I mean, there's obviously one that's been coated there, but from what looks like a natural timber, it looks like you've got all sorts of play with how they come out of the shop.
Yeah, and that's been a trial and error. And so it's actually sometimes we've messed up and the stock turns out really nice and we post a picture of it and we're like, we want that one. It's like, well, we'll try to recreate it. So, but yeah, so you look at the line of stocks in front of you, you've got a pretty good representation, the different finishes, and the way we finish them out ranges from just a coating process to we have a dye process where they're actually submerged for several hours in a dye solution.
Yep.
To a paint process, and then also a couple different paint processes where they get baked and then finished out.
Okay.
So it's just been really experimenting and seeing what looks good, and there's definitely been some that didn't look so good. And
we need to see those ones.
Yes, that's the ones we want to see.
They're in that closet back there. So.
Yeah.
Actually, they're all my personal ones, the ones that didn't finish out well. So,
and because I mean, it's almost you could sure you could Cerakote them if you chose to.
Sure, yep.
But it would be a bit of a shame if you did because there's such a unique looking piece that I think you'd be much better off to go with something unique like that.
Well, we've looked at a few different things. We hydro dipped a few, we Cerakoted a few. The material is stable. Is stable up to 275 degrees, so you can Cerakote them. It'd be just fine to Cerakote them, and guys have.
Yeah.
But as far as what comes out of our shop, one of the things we like and we enjoy is our stocks look a little bit different. And so when we start to hydro dip them or cover them up, it's a little easier for them to blend in. So from our standpoint, and of course everybody thinks their baby's the cutest, but we think they're great looking stocks, and we like how they look with the timber look, if you will.
Yeah, I remember seeing, you see photos of them on the line, and there might be 15 guns there, and then 5 of them are in your stocks, and it does look like we've had like a return of the traditional blued barrels with timber stocks, and it made for many guys it's made them second guess, go what was that?
Sure,
and sort of relook at it, and that's. Have you had a lot of curiosity about your products because of that? Because they just look so different to what we would normally see on the line between the chassis and the normal sort of fiberglass bases?
Sure, I think it's been advantageous to us because it doesn't blend in on the line, and so there's definitely been a component of what the heck is that, and why the heck are you running a wood stock, timber stock? Forgive me, timber.
We know they're both pretty much the same thing, aren't they?
I say wood.
This is neither.
It's just a Southern Australian thing to say timber.
Must be.
Yeah, bloody Southerners.
Yeah.
We call them Mexicans.
No, you don't. But we call you plenty of names that we won't repeat. So that's what 2.5 weeks on the road with each other does. But we'll leave that for another podcast.
Weren't you all holding hands when you pulled up? I thought it was kind of strange.
We're not Creedmoor shooters. And so I see a rifle sitting over there, and that is yours, isn't it?
That is, yes.
So that's what you plan to use this season? What have we got stacked there?
That's is
obviously a foundation stock.
It is a foundation. You are very observant. You're very
I thought it was timber to start with. But,
it may be.
It
may be. I forget what I put it together with, but no, it's an impact action. I'm a lefty, so the bolt handle's on the wrong side for you. But it's an impact action. It's running a KMW bottom metal. It's chambered in 6BR. Wade Studeville at Studeville Precision built that rifle for me, and still going back and forth a little bit on what I'm going to run glass-wise this year. But on top of it right now is a Vortex Gen 2. And so that's a setup right now, and it's been shooting great, so there's really hasn't been a reason to change it.
Yeah. Have you seen any of those new reticles from
I have.
Vortex?
Yes.
Yeah? Any sort of pique your interest? Because
I'm probably a little bit different, and I like less clutter, if you will. And not that they're cluttered, but it's I tend to gravitate back towards simpler. So right now, and part of it too is I can. I'm not shooting enough right now to chase it around. So once I get some time and get back into it,
you go back to a Leopold 4-12 or
that's
something.
Right. That's right. I've got the BX3 in the save. That's right.
Yeah.
So
sensational. That'd be a good setup.
It sounds a bit like me. Less clutter. That's what you used to.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
And they'll probably kick my butts on the stages where you can't touch your turrets.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. When you got to have to run on reticles. Yeah, absolutely. Singing. See, it started. That's what happens. Lucky Dave's not here.
Who are your singers down in Australia? I mean,
Dave Acker.
Okay.
No.
Okay. The only one I know and is I remember as a child was Colin Hay. Was that one right?
Yeah.
Come from the land down under.
Yeah. Have I sent you that video yet?
No,
I have to show you that
will
video in a
see it.
second.
I will see it. Okay. Fair enough.
Singers from Australia, John Farnham. I mean, he's got to
Farnham.
be Farnsey's got to be one of the classics, and then
Sure.
Jimmy Barnes as well.
Okay.
So Farnsey and Barnsey.
Is Keith Urban Australian?
He
Yeah,
is.
he is.
He
There
is.
you go.
That's
Yeah.
what popped in my head there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is he popular around here?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
That's a no.
Yeah. No.
That's a no.
Who is that?
Keith Urban.
that's Kurt Cobain. You're close. You're
Cobain.
close.
Fair enough.
Different thing. No, one of our favourite singers is Dave Acker, who sings on the 2 Beers 1 Chat podcast from time to time.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, so check that out. Or don't, if you value your sanity. Different to what we're doing here, but back on track.
Sure.
So, obviously, have you shot many matches or sort of little club stuff?
Sure.